Welcome back again, everyone. So this podcast is a recording of a live event that I did here in Asheville, North Carolina at the Earth Elements Day retreat. And this particular snippet is in regards to how to co-create your life while being in alignment with harmony, and you're literally learning how to manipulate the 3D world and the physics around you by tuning into the vibration of harmony and frequency that you desire to be in alignment with. And so they speak about that, and then they answer some personal questions that I think many of you can relate to who are on this spiritual path. But again, it's recorded in a church, and the audio quality is not the greatest, so please forgive that. Hopefully, I think you can hear pretty clearly what we're saying. It's just a lot of background noise and echoing, so so please enjoy. So before we speak, we just want to say this is an opportunity for you to ask questions as well. We're going to speak for a little while here. But as we are speaking, please hold your questions to the end, because we're having a three-way conversation here already, and Cindy's brain can only respond to so much. So we will open up for questions at the end, and we will answer them for you, whether it's something about connecting with nature or something personal that you're growing with in this process of harmonizing and honoring the earth, and harmonizing and honoring yourself. Because ultimately what you're doing through connecting with nature and connecting with these elements is harmonizing with yourself. Everything is a reflection of you. And so now we begin. So sometimes Cindy will jump in and out and make a comment here and there, and sometimes we will jump in and out. So sometimes she likes to clarify. When we say we, it's us talking. When she says they, then it's her talking about us. That makes it clearer for you. We're all in conversation here. Okay. So let's speak about the harmonizing with the trees and with the self. So we have said, if you've listened to us before, that harmony is your home. When you're looking for a place to live, or a place to be happy, or a relationship, or a job, there's nothing really out there that harmonizes if it doesn't harmonize within first. And so it's important for you to focus only on and mostly on your harmony within. Whatever it is that you're doing, creating, wanting, asking, questioning, focus on what harmonizes with you first, because there are no right or wrong ways to do things. All roads lead to Rome, do they not? So all pathways are going to lead you down to where it is that you're going. Sometimes you take the long way when you're in disharmony. Sometimes you take the direct path when you're in harmony. It's up to you. It's based on the lessons that you're learning at that time. So whatever that you're feeling or experiencing, it's all purposeful, because it's all guiding you to that same point, which is that harmonious union with love within yourself, so that you can become a co-creator with your life. And so, using these journals that she's passed out to you is a way to really get into that harmonious space. Because that is your ultimate goal. And the biggest thing that we want to teach you today is to really just focus as much as you can on harmonizing within, and making every decision about whether it feels harmonious to you or not, where you want to go, what you want to eat, all of those things, because that's building that harmony within you, so that you can affect physics with your harmonization, with that frequency of love, because love is the creative frequency. That when you harmonize within yourself of things that bring you joy, naturally you're going to feel love within your body and with your life experience. And so the more you can do those things that feel harmonious to you, the more you build that love frequency, the more you can create and co-create magic with that. And as she was saying, bringing it back to the jump point, that you'll be able to affect physics to where physics will rearrange itself in front of you and create what it is that you are desiring or intending. So that's what we want to say about harmonization. So now we're going to get into the trees. So when you're connecting with the trees or the rocks or the river, the ocean, there's certain elements in nature, yes, that bring this sense of well-being. You might call them negative ions that help to bring, you feel more in tune when you're outside. That's because nature is in harmony with itself. When you're inside these rooms and there's all sorts of different frequencies and energies passing through you, it's a little disharmonious as compared to when you're outside. Not only that, you have the harmonization of the earth frequency at your feet. When you're barefoot, you're tuning into that harmonization. It's not just about being a hippie and walking barefoot. It's actually about really connecting and grounding in that frequency with skin-on-skin contact. You're connecting your skin with the earth's skin and really tuning into that harmonic frequency. There is a Schumann resonance, as some of you may know, which is the frequency of Earth, which kind of fluctuates at different times, depending on how all of you are doing, because you are all in control of this project that we call Earth. This has been a project that's been going on forever and ever. There is no beginning, there's no end to it. It's happening. Everything's happening right here and now. All lifetimes that you've had are all kind of harmonizing into this focal point of where you are right now, but also when you're in your dreams. So this is a different type of dream state that you're in right now that has the capability of molding physics into material realities to play with like what we call a cosmic Play-Doh. So you're in charge of the cosmic Play-Doh based on how you harmonize and what you're feeling and thinking. And what you're feeling and thinking is going to shape that cosmic Play-Doh. So that's why it's important to really clear the mind and clear those thoughts out of things that you don't want to create and start focusing on that creative frequency, which is love. Love creates, fear destroys. It's up to you. It's all just a game. You're here for the sake of co-creating with love frequency and learning how to master that and just create more and more cosmic Play-Doh. That's all. You're here for the sake of love and enjoyment and learning how to master that frequency to create and manipulate physics, that physical matter, that 3D world with your frequency. And so tuning into the trees are the antennas to heaven, yes. So when we say earlier that there's no time, distance, or space, we want to clarify, there's earth and there's heaven. And so how is there a gateway to heaven when there's no time, distance, or space? So in your world, when you are in this 3D realm, there are certain energy pathways that are necessary to connect to different frequencies. So you have energy pathways in your body. You have energy pathways in the earth that you live on. You have energy pathways to the planets around you. And so they are all frequencies, but everything is energy. So it's really not that there's this physical bridge between heaven and earth. It's an energetic bridge. It's a tuning into a frequency. So if you were to imagine that everything was a web, and that web is the web of energy frequencies of different types of harmonics, just like a musical scale, then you're tuning into a different musical scale through that tree. So the earth might be like a lower G sound, or then there might be like a high A. We're just speaking in different terms here, but there are different harmonics and frequencies based on where you were at physically in your body and your evolution and what that tree is tuning into. Because as she was saying earlier, and as we were saying, that earth is in harmony with itself. And so for you to come to that tree and being this being trying to find your way, and you tune into that tree, it helps to harmonize you a little bit more. So, you've seen in the past people hug trees. This is kind of an instinctual thing because they're really tuning into that gateway frequency, which is that heavenly, harmonious energy. And so this is what we want to say about the trees. Any questions at this point? No? Okay. Any personal questions about your specific journey?
How do I get my spirit team to talk to me more?
There's actually something blocking you from your past. It's something that it's like this energy of feeling like something's always going to hold you back. And this is something that when we get to the Pagamentos later on today, when Cindy does, that you're going to make a payment of collecting those thoughts. So keep in mind, and we'll remind you, and everybody else here will remind you too, to make a payment of your thoughts about what holds you back. What's always going to hold you back in your life, not just with your guides, but just in general. People, experiences, opportunities, family, relationships, all those things that it's almost like if somebody was raised to, in a really abusive family, they're always going to feel in some level that they can't trust people. And so this energy kind of carries through in the back of your mind, even though, we say we've healed, we've gotten over it, there's still an energetic pattern there that needs to be moved. Even though you may have overcome these things and become stronger and move past them in your life, there's still an imprint in your field. And so collecting that energetic imprint of something it's kind of like in the back of your mind, it's an old memory that just kind of hides and sits and gnaws in the back of your mind quietly, because it is in the quietness of your field right now, but it's still something that is like this tether that is just kind of pulling you back and keeping you from being in full alignment with yourself. And to where you can harmonize and really tune in, because we could have just said, it's about harmonizing with your guides, but that's not enough information. That's very general blanket information. So more specifically to you, to collect those thoughts of what you feel is holding you back. Is there anything else specific she needs to do? You have your altar. You've got all the setup. Yet, it's about connecting. So there's a lot of things, spiritually speaking, that we can do and that you all may do, setting up altars and prayers and meditations and things, and crystals and yoga and chanting and all those types of things. But what's most important, and we will say this over and over again because we really want to drill this into your brain, that in your heart especially, is that it's about harmonizing. The more you can do to harmonize with whatever it is that you want to create. So say you want to connect with your guides and your spirits more, then watch others who are in harmony with that and resonate with that frequency. Instead of saying, I want to be that, just receive that frequency. Because when you're wanting to be that and you're kind of like putting it outside of you, instead of putting it as something that you are not, receive it as something that you are, because it is something that you're becoming. So back to Lisa, we were saying that if there's somebody who is, say they're grown up abused, there's something that there's like an imprint or a story. And so we're going to ask you to collect those thoughts and those memories and things and make them as a payment when we get to the part of the payments. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have a personal question?
I was gonna ask, at times when I'm tuning in and I might get caught up in the mind too much. In other words, I'll think I'm harmonizing or connecting, and yet there's often a question, or a doubt maybe. For instance, today hearing the stump speak, I guess part of me is curious about more specifics when that's true and when it's my mind going a little bit into imagination, or if it's both.
Okay. So let's yes, and okay. So just think about this for a moment. Where does your thoughts come from ever? Every single thought you have. What makes you have any thought at all? Whether it's a good thought or a dream or an idea or something that you call quote unquote real. It's all from the same place. But we get what you're saying. You want like real, right, true answers that are guiding you in a way that is in alignment. Okay? So all of those thoughts are all part of creation. And so none of them are wrong. But if you're saying that you want a specific path to tune into something specific, then again, we go back to it's about harmonizing. And so when you feel like your mind is getting in the way, as Cindy has said before, that's when you can kind of write down and feed that mind, or rather just, give it the food to let it voice its feelings, and writing down the anger, fear, doubt, whatever it is that you're feeling, okay? And then as soon as you write that down, you can put that away, and then you can get back into the harmonizing, because you won't have those little hiccups and things that are kind of blocking you from really getting into that harmonious flow where that true, pure wisdom can come through. You know, Cindy personally, you may have heard her speak about this, but, you know, her podcast, but she had quite a time with this, literally to the point where she almost Baker acted herself and thought she was having delusions of grandeur and was schizophrenic. And this is many, many years ago, about 25, 30 years ago, and tried to check herself into a mental hospital, but then the therapist there was kind enough to just say, you're just having an existential crisis, just, you know, it's all a mind game, like, don't worry about it, you know. So luckily, there was an angel sitting in the waiting room that told Cindy that they were going to take her rights away, they were going to lock her up, and they were going to pump her full of drugs so she would never see her family again. So she told the edited version of her story to the therapist. And so from that point on, she knew she wasn't crazy, because seeing all the people that were there shuffling through the doorways with glassy eyes, she felt, I'm not that. Like, you know, like this is something else. This is definitely not that, you know. And so having to get her mind out of the way, because she was so worried about all of these things that were so new to her, and just trying to make sense of it all, because being raised Catholic and Christian, it wasn't really something that she was taught. So she really had to learn the hard way, because she didn't have a teacher. She didn't have anybody telling her how to be and how to tune in, how to tap in, and, you know, all these things. And so it can be a really trick of the mind to really differentiate what am I making up and creating my own story, or what is true divine wisdom. But in reality, you all are always creating your own story based on what you think and what you feel. So if you're worried about it, then you might create more worrisome type experiences, or, you know, feelings of paranoia, like what's happening with her. She was worried about it, so it created more fear and paranoia in those types of experiences. But when she made a decision to say, my mind, I'm in control of my mind's not in control of me, that she knew she was creating her experience, and then could tune into just the love frequency and get more of a pure divine information. And that's how she started creating this journal, because she had to get through the mind stuff, and that journal helps you to get through the mind stuff by writing down the anger, fear, and doubt separately, and then start creating and intending, but also listening to your intuition and asking for clarity and asking for guidance, and being in a state of accepting as well. If you read through the front of the journal and follow along with it, that's the process of intuition that it's actually teaching you. That book is teaching you how to be intuitive clearly, because you're starting from love, and if you're not, you clear that out of the way. You set your intention, then you focus on listening to your intuition, and then you can be in a state of acceptance and allowing and putting things into action. But you cannot start putting things into action or connecting with something if you haven't gone through those steps, because there's some part of that that's going to get in the way, that's going to cause that action to kind of kick back, as she was saying earlier, like a hamster in a wheel, where you're in this karmic wheel and you're just never moving forward out of it, because you're having the same experience of, like, my mind's getting in the way. Is this really my story? Is this really what's happening? Am I making this up? You have to get those thoughts out of the way and start focusing on, I'm tuning in with love, I'm tuning in with harmony, I'm getting pure frequency, I'm building my love frequency, because I'm harmonizing with truth and love, and through that truth and love is where the divine wisdom will come in and through you. So it's about tuning into that love and harmony, and recognizing when you're out of alignment, when you're in disharmony within yourself, and working through that and working it out, so that you can then be that open, empty vessel, so to speak. Because, you know, carrying a heavy vessel, sometimes it's heavy. It's more struggle, it's more effort. So we really encourage you to use that journal, and just practice on harmonizing, even if it's just, you know, making your favorite tea in the morning, or, you know, going to your favorite restaurant, or, you know, going to the pet store and petting pets, you know, whatever it is that makes you feel harmonious. Those things are going to help you to really be able to be in that same and match that frequency, because it's about matching the frequency of love and truth and clarity through your actions, through your noticing of yourself and reflecting within, as to where you feel disharmony, because those are doorways and opportunities. It's not something to, you know, get into a place of frustration. I mean, sure, it's okay to feel frustrated, but use that frustration as a tool as a way to sharpen those tools to say, oh, this is another doorway for me to release that so that I become more in alignment with myself. So I become more in alignment with spirit so that I can listen more clearly. It's like tuning your instrument, right? When you have a guitar, it gets a little out of tune. You got to tune it back in, and the song's not going to play. And then the music that you play and sing to people is going to sound really, So, yeah. Does that answer your question?
Thank you.
For my journey.
For your journey. Sure. So we've said this to you before, but we just want to point out again that you have this, like, Christed energy around you. Like he's like standing behind you with this halo. Jen is picking up on this. And we were you were speaking about this earlier, about how he is your, he's the one that you feel safe and strong with. But it's not, just Jesus in the traditional sense of the way that this church was built that we're sitting in right now. But it's, he's your friend. He's there to listen to you. He's there to guide you, to help you through things. And so, even with this journal, you can use this journal to communicate more with him, because you're saying, you can start writing questions, just as Cindy started. How can I tune in more to love? And then let him kind of speak through you and do the automatic writing yourself. So doing that automatic writing is going to help you to kind of listen and hear his answers, because you may feel as such that words come out that maybe don't make sense, or maybe it's kind of muddled. Just keep writing, because you kind of have to get that muddled energy out of the way. And then the more you write, the more the flow can, and it'll just keep flowing and streaming. It's like you're opening the doorway to the water to come through. And then once that water starts coming, it just starts rushing really fast. And then you just start feeling and sensing and hearing and writing. And so that writing exercise is going to really help you to ask him direct questions, and, what actions can I take to create this thing in my life? Or, what guidance, what is my instinct telling me? What is my intuition telling me? And so just writing those things down and practicing, and it's like a muscle that you're exercising here. You're really exercising the muscle that's really pumping those chemicals in your body, that's creating that harmonious frequency within you, because you are a chemical being that when you think of love and you think of things that you like, there is a chemical cascade that happens in your body. Those chemicals have a frequency, and you're through that. And this is why people do drugs, because they're trying to harmonize. They're trying to, it's like trying to take a shortcut to God, to feel that union, to feel that unity, to feel that connection to something. But that's something that's already in you, and it's already available to you. But because of life, and because you come into this world as a perfect being, but people and choices and relationships tend to make you think and feel differently. And so we have fallen out of harmony with ourselves. We have fallen out of harmony with our creative power and with spirit and with, the Christed ones and those energies. And Christed energy is part of our Shashastra Collective too. There are many Christed beings in this collective, which might be why you're so drawn to this. So, but there's Buddha and, divine mothers and whatnot as well. But, that writing and tuning in is going to help you really connect with him more. And you'll be able, and then eventually you won't need to write it. You'll just be, at the grocery store being like, oh, should I do this and that or whatever? And you'll hear the right answer, because you'll be in that harmonious space and start to really, dig that groove and that pathway a little bit deeper, so that the energy flows more vibrantly and easily through that pathway. But right now the pathway is just kind of soft and, just a light little connection. But the more you practice connecting in that pathway, the easier things can flow in between, just like your neurons in your brain, the way that they work. But you're also creating pathways in your brain with that chemical frequency that are creating the happy neural pathways, as you probably already know that. But does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. We talk a lot and fast, so we know. Okay. Thank you again so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Please Please like, subscribe, share, or donate, depending on what platform you're listening to this on, so that we can continue to offer and bring you this content and material in these podcasts. Many blessings to all of you, and may you have a life filled with oneness and harmony today.